and welcome. It is the 2nd of April 2025. It's just after 10 in the morning here in the UK. My name's Jenny McCormac. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the market town of Brackley, which is near the Silverstone Formula 1 circuit in Northamptonshire. And today we're going to be doing some watercolouring. I haven't done watercolouring for quite a long time. I'm going to use one of our online exclusive products. It's called Wooded Acres, as you can see here. It's a beautiful morning, so I haven't got all of my lights on. I've had to shut the blinds because the sun was shining through and everything was all sliced up with the shape of my blind, so I do apologise. But I've shut the blind for the meantime. This has two stamps, as you can see, a beautiful sort of deciduous forest, and then we've got an evergreen forest here. At the bottom, this could be water, it could be grass, whatever you want it to be. And what I'm going to do is just use some basic tools for watercolouring this stamp set. You do need to use watercolour paper because that will excuse me, absorb the water. If you use our standard card and you use a lot of water, then the card will ripple up as it absorbs the water, and then you won't get a nice flat surface. So we're going to be using our watercolour paper. This comes in a pack that measures 5 by 7 inches. So what I like to do to make the most of these is cut each of these in half, and then that's a really good size for placing on a standard card base. I'm going to start with this one here, and there it is, and I have a block ready, which, there we go, I can't see because it's clear. Okay, now if you're doing watercolouring, you do need to use a waterproof ink pad, so I'm using our Stays On ink in black. We do have also a saddle brown one, but for me it's not quite dark enough. If it was like an espresso colour, then I would definitely use that, but in the meantime I'm going to use the black. Let's pop a piece of paper underneath. So I'm going to ink up this stamp. Now this obviously doesn't fit right the way across, so what I'm going to do is I could either start on the left and then add a piece, or I could do one in the middle and add a piece either side. I think I'm going to do that because you don't see as much of the repetition. I think this would be really nice as a slimline card. Oops, take the cover off. I think it would be really nice as a slimline card as well. So, just making sure this is well inked. Like so. And then let me just try it on here. Yep, that's fine. Okay. So I'm going to place this, I think, yeah, I'm going to do this in the middle. I'm going to leave a fair bit of space for the sky, but obviously you could make it across the middle centre if you wanted to. You could also do it in portrait, of course. Then I'm going to ink up the whole thing and then stamp either side. Like so. And then the same on the other side. Now, if you know which side you need, then you could just ink that a little bit up, which is what I've done for this one. And I'm just sort of connecting the two using the sort of lines across the bottom for that purpose. There we go. So there's our scene. Let's clean that off. So obviously the Stays On will stain your stamps. You can use Stays On remover, but just make sure that you clean the stamp well afterwards, especially if it's photopolymer. Okay, right, now for some watercolouring. So there's lots of different ways you can do this. We have our water painters, aqua painters, and these currently come in a pack of 3 with 3 different nib details. Now I do know that those have become hard to get hold of, so once they sell out we may not restock those. I didn't check, I should have done, what the state of play was this morning. Right, I'm going to use a selection of greens. So I've got soft sea foam, I've got granny apple, I've got garden green, mossy meadow, shaded spruce, really whatever you want it to be. I think what I'm going to do is maybe soft sea foam, and I'm just going to ink up one edge of my block. Now you can use ink refills as well. You can just drop a few drops of ink, and then this is, not that there's much in here, granny apple on that corner, and then I might add a little bit of garden green. So you're basically using your block as a palette. What you don't want to do is dip your water painter into your ink pad, because you'll be adding water and diluting it. So there's lots of different ways to do watercolouring. I'm certainly no expert. So what I'm going to do is just wet this area first, so that the ink will blend nicely onto the paper. And if you can see that reflection, just about. Okay, so I'm just doing that. Then I'm going to pick up some of the ink on here, and then you can literally just drop it onto your section here. So what I'm going to do is sort of a wash of the lighter colour. So this is a little bit of saucy foam and granny apple. Now if you put too much on, just grab a piece of kitchen towel or a dry cloth, and then you can dab off both the water and the ink. So let's add a little bit more down here. So, and then I'm going to drop in a little bit of garden green to give a little bit of a contrast. Like so. Like that. Maybe put a little bit in here. Now if you get it really wet, what you can do is literally just drop a little bit of ink on, and you don't even need to sort of brush it across there. And you can carry on adding. Now the nice thing about watercolour is you can leave that, come back later on and do a little bit more. Let me just lift that up to the screen so you can see it a little bit better. I'm just going to make a little bit optional colour. You could do these in winter colours, obviously. There we go. Now, if you do a lot of watercolouring and you love trees, for example, what you can do is take one of our water pens and pop some drops of re-inker into here, add some water, and you can then keep that as basically a green watercolour pen. You could add in a little bit of a darker colour if you wanted to, so I could just paint with this completely, like so. And I do keep a green one because very often when I'm watercolouring I am doing trees or grass or something like that. So that's another thing that you can do. Exactly the same with the sky. Excuse me. So if you had a blue pen, a blue watercolour brush, you could do that. Now the downside of that obviously is it means you're keeping that one only for green. Whereas if you're doing it this way round, you can change colour, which is what I'm going to do when I'm going to do the sky. But there's lots of different ways. You can also just use a paintbrush and again pop some ink onto an acrylic block and then just add water with a paintbrush and pick it up. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that. I think I'm going to make this like a river or a coast here. Let me wipe this down. And you don't have to use an acrylic block, you can use a plate or something like that. Okay, let's grab some blue ink. Pool party. And a little bit of boho blue. So I'm going to have the area at the bottom lighter. No, probably darker. It's going to be my water. So I'm going to go with boho blue, I think, for that. But again, you can mix up the colours. If you do want to recreate, if you wanted to do lots of these, then I would just make a note what colours I've used. Obviously, you're not going to get the exact same every single time. Depends on how much ink to how much water you use. So I've got this one here, which is clear. And again, what I'm going to do is wet this bottom bit. And I'm going to stay away from the bit that I've already coloured because I don't want it to run into there. So, and then I'm adding some water onto my block and then just adding this in. Like so. So it's not spreading any further than I've applied the initial water, but if this was still very wet, then potentially it could do that. Okay, if I wanted to lighten up a section of that, because it's still wet, I could just go in and use a dry cloth to lift some of that colour out. Okay, I'm going to go back in and make that a little bit darker. I've got some Night of Navy here. Make sure I get the right pen. I'll put that on there so you might be able to see it a little bit better on the block. like so. And I'm doing this because I want a contrast to the sky. Yeah. Okay. Good morning, Lavender Cards and Catherine. Thanks for joining us. So there we go. Just added that little bit on the bottom. And then I'm going to do the sky. So I'm going to take some of that out. I'm going to turn this round. And again, I'm going to wet this. I have got some blue left on here, which is what I want, because I want a sort of cloud effect. So, and again, just going down to that edge. And as long as that piece there is dry, that colour isn't going to go any further. And you can be quite patchy for the sky, like so, if you can see that. And I'm just going to bring this in a little bit more. Now, our water painters have different brush tips, so you want something fairly wide for this. If it's too fine, we do have a very fine one, then you don't get quite that soft effect, but it's perfect if you're doing detail work, like if you wanted to colour in the tree trunks. I couldn't think of the word. So there we go. Just adding that little bit in, and then you can add a bit more detail into the sky if you wish, but I'm happy with that. Like so. I think I'm going to make this. Oh, that's okay. Just going to add a little bit more colour here. Like so. There we go. So there is our watercolour scene. Let me wipe this down before I get water or ink anywhere else. And don't forget to rinse these out. Now I do recommend that you don't leave water in your water brush over a period of time. What I do is I empty them all out, rinse them with a little bit of washing up liquid, and then allow them to dry, and then I keep them in their component parts, so the barrel and the nib. Mainly because I'm in quite a hard water area, and if you leave that in there, some of the hard water can affect it, and it can block this piece here. Obviously, if you're using paintbrushes, you don't have that issue at all. Just rinse them out and let them dry. Okay, I'm going to pop a sentiment onto this, and I'm also going to use another new product, which is our Mini Corrugated Embossing Folder, and that creates a really nice corrugated effect. Hopefully you can see that. One thing to bear in mind when you do this is if you cut your piece of card to size and then corrugate it, which is what I would normally do, if you think about it, it's corrugating this piece, so it actually shrinks the width, but it can also extend the length, depending on how much pressure is put through. So always when you've done that, just recheck the measurements, because sometimes you'll find it's not quite, because it's obviously shrinking this because it's corrugating it. So just bear that in mind. I think that that's going to work perfectly. Okay, what I'm going to do is stamp a little sentiment, and I'm going to use, I think, basic beige for my base, like so. It's quite a neutral colour, And I think somewhere I have an odd piece of basic beige that I'm going to stamp a sentiment onto. There it is. Okay, so I'm using tags of thanks, and I'm going to use the thank you. This comes as a bundle with 3 little tag punches. One does a straightforward hole, it's just that one there, 1/8 of an inch, and then the other 2 do little tag shapes or ribbon slots. I'm just going to use the dot. My other one is in my card ready for coffee and card. So let's grab thank you. And I'm going to stamp this, punch it out, and then add a little bit of linen thread to it. So let me grab this. And I think I'm going to do this in it's either garden green or night of navy. I think it's going to be garden green. That makes up my 3 elements of green. 1, 2, 3. But I could also do it in night of navy. That would give me 3 elements of the blue. Maybe I'll do one of each and decide which looks best. And I know this one needs re-inking, so I'm going to ink it up very well. There we go. Let's see if there's enough in there. Okay, so there's garden green. I'll do a night of navy and then decide which one I like the best. Like so. There we are. And I've got a standard circle punch. You could use a die, you could use a shape punch, whatever you would like. So there's the green, there's the blue. See which looks best. For me, it's the green, I think. Okay, let's pop these layers together. When you're using an embossed piece of card, just make sure you add plenty of glue, because you haven't got a flat surface that it's going to attach with. So you need to make sure that there's enough contact between your card that is embossed and your base card. Okay, so this is opening on the side, like so. This is going to go on top. Now I would recommend you wait for this to wait for your watercolour card to dry fully, and again, because I'm going on to the corrugated piece, I'm going to add more glue than I normally would. Like so. And again, a good amount of pressure. And turn that over, press from the back. There we go. And then, what do we think? the blue or the green. I think the green, but let me know if you think otherwise. Okay, let's pop a hole in there like that. I'll put one in there while I'm at it. And I have got some green twine. I probably also have some blue. And I think I'm going to double this up. To thread it through. I'm just going to do a little knot and then trim the ends. Like so. Okay. There we are, and that's going to go here, like that. I'm going to pop that on with dimensionals, I think, which were here at the ready for change. 1, 2, 3. Go. Put that in there. There we go. Our watercolour card. Now, just as a matter of interest, I'm going to stamp the other stamp and do a slightly different variation, just quickly, which is I'm going to stamp this but in different colours and then just apply water. So I'm not going to do it in Stays On, and I might do it in Autumn Colours. Now I know these are sort of evergreen trees, so you wouldn't really see them in autumn colours, but I just want to see the effects. So, hello Chris, good morning to you. I don't know why my phone is buzzing, I'm sorry about that. Okay, let's pop that on my block. Perhaps I should do it in different blues. Now I'm going to try it in colours. Okay, so this is Cherry Cobbler. Let's pop my piece of paper underneath. So there's that. Like so. Okay. Let's just take a water brush to that. And I want to lift some of that because it's quite strong, some of that colour. Although you wouldn't really have red ground, would you? Okay. See if it's the sort of, I can't think of the word, but that sort of just distant effect I'm looking for. So, and then I'm going to dry that off a little bit. I wonder if I might, if I had espresso with me, I could do espresso. Let's try pumpkin pie. Yes, absolutely right. You could stamp them all and then just spritz them rather than using a water painter. Quite right, Catherine. Right, let's try this one. If it doesn't work, I can turn it over. That's one good thing about good quality watercolour paper. Actually, what I'm going to do is just got these on the left inked up. Try that again. A little bit higher. And then here. Okay. So I want the effect of a sort of autumn scene, almost in the distance with, you know, it's like a sort of frosty morning, isn't it? So actually it's not so bad, because I blurred out the detail. It doesn't look quite like it should have been fir trees, evergreens, which has suddenly changed. Yeah, I think it would probably have been all right, Catherine. Anyway, that I quite like that effect, I have to say, with the multiple colours, and then you could add in another bit of colour. Let's add maybe a little bit of green. And I'm just going to ink up these ones again. Now, you could easily cut this, do a bit of stamp surgery, and cut it into 2 or even 3 to give you the maximum flexibility. So I'm just going to do those edge ones. I just want the back of it, really. I don't know if I'm going to help or hinder this now. A little bit of green. I guess I could have just added a little bit of green pen. Okay. And then just going to blend that in a little bit. Give the effect of trees behind. I don't know, not convinced. Maybe it would have been better without the green altogether. Who knows? Okay, so that was just, so instead of stamping in Stays On and adding the colour, stamp in the colour and then add the water and just blend it out for a bit more detail. I wonder if I might just try that in greens. I think maybe I would have been better doing that with the other colours. So let's do some greens with this. I think blues would also work. So I'll just do this really quickly. I won't finish this card off, but let's stamp it on here. So this is garden green, and it's quite easy to link these up together, like so. And then let's have a little bit of shaded spruce. Clean that off. Going to do those there. Let's add that one in. I wonder if I've got a spritzer to hand. Everything but let's just try it. Obviously I could also try it with my green water pen. I wonder if I can just do it like that. Obviously you don't have to watercolour this at all, you can just stamp it as is. And then you could actually think about it, when I've done that, once it's dried, I could stamp another line of trees in front. I think that would work particularly well. Shall I make this all green? Yes. Let me just bring in some colour on here and we're done. So this was the main card that we were doing, but just a little bit of experimenting with the other stamp and with different colours. So there's that one there, and then I'm just going to do this one. Just adding a little bit of granny apple green at the bottom, so I've got a different green going on here. Like so. Doesn't have to be fully coloured in. Leave some gaps or add some highlights, things like that. And then this might still have enough blue on it. I'm just going to be careful not to get too close to any trees that are still wet, because I don't want it to blend in and run. I think maybe I need to do some watercolouring at Coffee and Card. So I need to watch this here but it's still a little bit wet, so I'm just going to stop it in its tracks. And there we go. So a different look altogether to that one. Oh, which I've got ink on the back. Okay, so there we go. So this set is called Wooded Acres. It's just got 2 stamps in the set. One is this fir tree line, and this other sort of deciduous trees here. So that's that one, and I've made it into, just put some water in front of it. You could add some birds in the sky, for example. That would be quite a nice touch if you've got bird images. And then this one, again, using watercolour with the fir trees, just dotting, stamping in different colours, and then just adding water to that. Okay, so thank you so much. Went on a bit longer than I intended, but I hope you like the finished result. Thank you so much, and do take care. I should be back tomorrow evening. That's Thursday the 3rd of April 2025. That'll be 7 PM UK time. I hope you're able to join me. Do take care. Don't forget to check out our last chance product list. If you're on my email, you will have received an email this morning. These are the items that are effectively retiring from the annual catalogue and the spring catalogue that finishes at the end of this month or just beginning of May. And some of those items are drastically reduced in price, so do check those out. We are also going to see an increase in cost for card, not the papers, just the card. So if you need to stock up with any particular colour card stock, now would be the time to do it. Thank you so much. Do take care. Bye for now, everyone. Bye bye.